All right, welcome back again for part two of this video of making this boat. So we created the hull last time. This time we are going to create um, all these other pieces. We're going to start out with the transom. And so let's go back over to the one that we have going here. And we're going to start, and we're going to make a new sketch here. So we're going to say new sketch on this surface. And so we're starting that new sketch on that back surface, lining up our view there. And we want to make little notches in the corners here. And don't worry about how big they are. We'll fix those up later. And notice I'm only putting one in because I'm going to do a center line and reflect these. So we'll put a little line here for the center also. And those ones. So, and then we want to have another one kind of in this corner, like so. Maybe if your corner is really rounded, like mine is, that might cause some problems. I might have to go back and fix that later. But something like that should probably be pretty good. It works a little bit better if the bottom of your boat is a little flatter. So there we go, though. I'm going to mirror this now, mirroring, and I'm going to do that, and that, and that. Now we got all that stuff there. We're going to say, all right, I'm done mirroring. Now I'm going to put some dimensions on some things. I want that to be that 1/8 of an inch that we always use right there. That's the height there, because that board is going to be lined up top-wise down there. And then to make life easier, I'm just going to say this and this should be equal in length. So now that's the same length there. I don't have to put another dimension on that. Fun little trick there. This one is two separate lines, so I can't quite do it the same way. It's easy. There it is also. And you can still kind of adjust these. We might have to come back and adjust this stuff later. But that's a good start for now. And we're going to say extrude. I'm going to hide all that so we don't have to look at all that. We want to extrude this right here, and we want it to go 1/8 of an inch, as always, with the thickness of the wood. And right now it would be going out backwards. We want it to go the opposite direction, so we want to go into the piece of wood. All our kind of like skeletal like members that are going to be holding the boat together or be the actual boat should kind of be inside this shape that we already had created. Nothing should kind of be on the outside of it. So that is looking pretty good. We're going to say okay. And that is what we're looking for on that first one there. And next, we want to make a few more of these, but these ones are kind of hollowed out on the inside. So these ones are going to need a new surface to draw on. Let me pause the video. Go get caught up. All right. So sorry, long pause there, an awkward break there. You probably didn't even notice it though. You are now going to be making some little ribs that are going to be at certain placements. I only have 2 of these. If you are looking to make this more like pirate shippy looking or some other different style, you can make as many ribs in here as you want. So when we get this going here, I'm going to say create a plane, and we're going to say offset plane a certain distance from this surface. And I want to go this way with it. So if you want to divide this up and make it nice and even, that would probably be a good idea. I'm going to go at 2 inches. I'm creating one surface there. And I'm going to say, again, I want another one over here at 4 inches. And that's looking pretty good for me, for my boat. Again, if you want more, I would evenly space those out. And you can have as many as you like in there, within reason, I guess. And I'm going to say okay there. Now, so the other 2 that I'm going to create here are going to line up in those positions there. So I'm going to hide that first piece there. And we're going to start a new sketch and do this one first. And I'm going to hide this other plane here so I don't have to look at that and get confused. So we're going to start with that right there. And whenever possible right now, we want to not draw new things. We want to use the use button or intersection. Intersection is another one we're going to use here in a minute. The use button, for example, if I was to use that, it just kind of gives me the exact shape. But if I was to do the intersection and I clicked on this, it's not actually intersecting this space. So this piece is not touching this piece. So intersection is going to be important. We'll see that in just a second. Some of you may not have used that yet. So we want to use used right now. And we want to get a couple points. So I'm just stealing points right now. The corner points from all this stuff here. Corner points. It's just going to be a bunch of dots here. Like so. So it's just the corner points there. And now I can hide that piece. And that's going to allow us, it looks like I missed one on the top there. That's going to allow us to line things up and keep them nice and straight here. And you'll see what I mean here in a second. So now let's bring back the other piece. And this time we want to say intersection because we want where this surface crosses this plane. So if you click right there, you'll see we're getting that surface, which is actually different than the back transom area, right? Because the boat's a different shape all the way down. So we're clicking there, we're clicking on the other side, and we're clicking on the top. And now I can hide that again. And now I have that nice tracing of that. And because the boat got a different size, it might have gotten a little skinnier or a little taller or whatever in some way. Now you can put these corner notches in again, and you might want to make them a little bit different size. So we have the dot there so that we can line things up and they'll still be in line. But maybe it needs to be a little bit wider out here, for example, and you need to like say, hey, I need this dimension to be a little bit different and wider here, for example. Maybe you want that to be 1/8 of an inch there. And the same thing with the keel here. Oh, the keel is the bottom board in the very bottom of the boat here. So I'm lining that up there. Looks pretty good. I'm putting a center line in here because I'm going to mirror some things in just a moment. And this is the horizontal one. I'm going to say, all right, there. And I don't want it to go quite as deep as these points are, so I'm just using those lines to line that up there. It looks like those are construction lines right now, so I want to change that to solid lines. And now, doing some reflecting. There we go. And that is looking pretty good. I'm going to try and extrude this now. And just as before, we want it to go the opposite direction, going forward towards the front of the boat, just so we're staying consistent here. 1/8 of an inch, and there we go. And there's one thing I didn't do correctly, but we'll come back to that in just a second here. This piece needed to be solid because it's the back of the boat. This piece needs to be open in the center because we don't want to, run into this wall every time. So we'll go back into that sketch and we can just say, hey, I want to use a spline, a curve, and I'll just kind of make something up. It doesn't really matter what the shape is exactly. As long as we're giving us some space, if you were really close to this, that's going to be fragile and break on you pretty easily. So we'll just say something like that, maybe. And that looks pretty good. And we can mirror things. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to trim out this extra top part so we got the shape we want. Bingo. Looks good. All right. And so we're going to repeat that for the front one. We'll say on this next plane here, we're going to repeat and do the same thing again. So I'm going to not do that right now. I'm going to pause the video and do it. And then if you need to see how to do that again, go ahead and pause the video and like go back a little bit and rewatch this part, but you're going to repeat that on the next rib portion here on another other plane here, so that we get 3 parts. In my example, it's going to be 3. In yours, it could be, I don't know, 5, something more if you want. It's up to you. Pausing the video now. Go do that on the other planes that you have. Actually, I'll tell you what, I'll do it with you again one more time, and I'm going to do a little quicker here. We got our other plane here. I started a new sketch on this surface. I'm going to say intersect that surface there, that surface, and that surface. So now I got that line going all the way around the outside edge. And I'm going to hide some things again. And just as before, I'm going to go back to use this time. I'm going to use that point and the corner points from each of these little notches. And then I can hide that again. And I got my things here. And this time, we're going to say line again. And this time, I don't want to go in that high again. So I'm going to like so, you know, it's really up to you. Make it look good. But notice when I'm using those points to line things up, this line is automatically the right size there. I don't have to go and put any dimensions on things. That's one of the nice things about this. And, you know, I want to go maybe a little deeper there. Now it's pretty good. I'll say line. Like so. Corner, I'm pretty happy with that. And now another center line. We'll do some reflecting. Reflect that part, mirroring and mirroring. Oh, I didn't select my center line yet, did I? Oopsies. There it is. All right. There it is. All right. Now I got that done. I'm going to now put a spline in there to hollow this thing out. And so maybe. That looks pretty good to me. I'm going to mirror that also. Actually, I feel like that's a little lumpy, so I'm going to adjust that. Feel free to adjust things. Don't feel like you're locked into it the first time you make it. Now it's a little bit better, a little smoother. Maybe I'll even delete this point. Delete. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's good enough. All right. Now, time to extrude this shape. Again, flipping the direction so it goes forward. And we're doing 1/8 of an inch. And we are liking the look of that. Let's see, we'll see if we can hide some things here and get some look of everything going on here. All right, we'll hide this plane too. That is looking pretty good. And just to double check things here, I can turn on that main boat hull, the original piece there, and have a look at things. And so things can hang out a little bit there. Because it's a curve, you can't get the whole thing to really stay inside there. But that is looking pretty good. In the next video, we'll talk about making the keel and the gunnels and the chine, which are those final 3 pieces. The keel is the part that's going across the whole bottom here. The gunnel is going along the top edge of the hull here. And the chine is where it kind of turns here on the halfway mark approximately of the hull. Anyway, stay tuned. Video number 3. I'll see you soon. Feel free to ask me questions in class. Adios.